Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how life is a dance. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that mind and body connected movement is vital to healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I created Dance to Heal Wellness featuring the Spotlight Confidence Formula and also authored the best-selling award-winning book, Outside In Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new ways to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Hello, welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen, and I'm so excited that my good friend Jennette Stone who's a therapist and certified medication. Sorry, folks, I'm just so excited she's here. I'm tripping over my words. Jennette is a therapist, certified meditation teacher, and a clinical yoga professional. Now, you can read the rest of her bio in the description for this particular podcast episode. Jennette, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this.
Yes. So now, Jennette, you recently became a mom, and now you provide resources for moms. Why do moms need these resources, Jennette?
Because motherhood is one of the hardest jobs that there is on the planet. And there's so much separation in our culture and society that the more we can bring moms together and bring moms together with resources and providers and that type of thing, it helps you not feel so alone. One of the things I hear from the moms that I work with so much is they're lonely and they're isolated. And so many times things get missed because moms aren't being connected the way that they could be. And so those things are really important to me and help moms be able to know that they're not alone and that there is help out there and they're not the only ones going through the struggle.
You've really hit the nail right there, that the bullseye, Jennette. I'm a mom of fraternal twins. They're now in their mid-20s, but I still remember distinctly still how lonely it was to be home with two or one even baby that just needs you to be able to know what they need, and they're nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you go from independent person to suddenly being solely responsible for the life of a being that can't quite
Mm-hmm.
communicate the way you need them to, right? We have to learn a whole new baby language,
Truth. Very true. Yeah.
right? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we're not told when we're pregnant to be filling our cup before we have the baby. We're
Right.
just, right? We have no clue, no idea. I mean, I'm a mom of full grown kids, so I can say this. Like they're literally like sucking all the life out of you as they grow.
I know. And it's so different, and every kid is so different, and every configuration of family is different. And it's like, oh, I have one kid, I have two kids, I have five kids, type of thing, or I'm a single mom, or it like have multiple partners, or like all these different conglomerations of families. And so it's being able to kind of like understand that there's really no one right way to be a mom and to be a family and that type of thing, and that it's okay to find your own path. And that one of the biggest strengths that moms can have and learn is to be adaptable. Like if you can learn to roll with the punches, then you're going to be okay.
Oh, I love that. Learn to roll with the punches because, there are also a lot of moms out there that didn't necessarily give birth personally to their children. And all
Hmm.
of a sudden they're in a motherhood position.
Right.
And, part of it is you're still their mom. Some of
Hmm.
the hormones associated with motherhood are still being built in your body.
Hmm.
And so part of that, like almost overnight being a mom type of thing, is
Hmm.
to be able to roll with the punches type of thing.
Yeah.
Especially now, right? Because we're post
Hmm.
the I call the pandemic the panini because
Okay.
we're still in we're different perspectives on whether or not it's over. And my whole family, we deal with two post cancer
Hmm.
survivors and a beautiful rainbow of autoimmune diseases. So
Yeah.
we keep out certain precautions just to
Hmm.
not bring in extra bugs. Like I was just in where would I just go? I just went to Orlando, and I have like 3 tiers of wellness to not bring a bug home to my son who has type 1 diabetes, right?
Yeah.
But we're all post the panini, and so a lot of parents became homeschoolers against their will,
Yeah.
right? And
Which
then
is
all of a
huge
sudden,
stress.
huge stress, and then all of a sudden we're trying to navigate, because being previously I was an occupational therapist and I learned about childhood development. I used to joke with my friends that before you're a parent ever, you need to learn about child development. Whether you become a therapist or you get that training, or you're an OT or a PT, we should all know about what proper, normal, even though every child's different, kind of like this, the rainbow of childhood development is
Mm-hmm.
before you have a kid, because we're never told about what's normal and what's not, Jennette.
No, we're really not. And I think that that's one of the things that can be improved by like communication and through like connection with other moms. A lot of times we hear so much about toxic mom groups or like that type of thing. We hear more about that in the media and stuff like that. But what I find is that most moms want to help other moms. And so we are so much stuck in fear that we don't allow ourselves to open up and connect and that type of thing. And when you're a new mom,
Mm.
and like whether you're a new like biological mom or adoptive mom or stepmom or like any type of mom, right? Like you're so nervous about getting it wrong and so afraid of judgment that you're almost afraid to reach out. And I think that that ability to kind of soften and understand that fear is just telling you that this is really important to you and that you really want to get it right. And that fear isn't your enemy, it's just a message. And so it's being able to then understand that the fear that you feel is actually telling you how important it is for you to connect, for you to find more services, for you to be able to reach out and find community.
That's an excellent point, Jeanette. I really love that reminder. I saw an interview by Stephen Bartlett, who does the Diary of a CEO, and he had been invited to the Dragon's Den. And he had all this experience, but he still felt imposter syndrome. And then he realized in retrospect over time that the imposter syndrome is there because we don't have the experience with it.
Right.
So then it brought me back, like in what you're saying, to when our fraternal twins were first born, that first week, that struggle versus about 6 months later, where,
Mhm.
even though the kids were rapidly changing every week, it felt it's like
Yeah,
just couldn't
true.
keep up with their development. The experience of handling babies started to
Mhm.
become more routine, and
Mhm.
I could predict when they would get headed to trouble versus being everything completely new and feeling like, oh, I'm just pretending to be a mom. And then by 6 months in, I felt like, oh, I really am their mom. Like, the postpartum depression, I kind of settled a little bit,
Mhm.
right? And then we don't even, I mean, even postpartum, what are some symptoms? Because if someone's recently had a baby and don't know what the signs for postpartum depression are, what are some of those, Jeanette?
So we want to differentiate the difference between baby blues and postpartum depression. And there's lots of postpartum conditions. There's postpartum anxiety, postpartum OCD, postpartum rage. A lot of times, postpartum depression is the one that like everybody knows and has heard of and that type of thing. So everybody goes through a period of kind of like hormone regulation, which is often termed the baby blues, but it's usually gone by the first 2 weeks. And so it's like that initial, like where your hormones drop and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And you're super sleep deprived and it's like all that type of thing. Once that's kind of settled, that's when we can start to look at, okay, are like are my emotions still all over the place? Am I really irritable? Like, am I not being able to feel like I can connect with my baby or with my husband or that type of thing? Do I just still feel sad or numb all the time? Am I like the things that used to like intrigue me or that type of thing? Like, like not just because I'm distracted by like a baby and being a new mom. It's just I just don't care, type of thing. And we'll have to admit, sleep deprivation does play into those type of things too. And that's why going to a licensed professional is really important, like getting screened by your doctor. And then, so there's a special certification for perinatal mental health clinicians called the PMHC, which is
Oh,
actually one of my certifications. And so, really, if you want someone that really knows and has had extra training, looking for a therapist that has a PMHC certification can be really useful. A lot of times, basically, what I think of like with like different disorders after postpartum, is it's like anything that's lasting more than like 6 to 8 weeks, you should probably talk to somebody. You like if it's like, okay, I was down for like 2, 3 weeks and like, but now I feel fine. Like, like you're probably okay, but keep monitoring yourself, like get some better sleep and, talk to your regular doctor or your OBGYN, type of thing. But like, if you're still down after 6, 8 weeks and it just feels like nothing's getting better, reaching out to a mental health therapist is always a great step.
Thank you for that particular perspective. It's
Mhm.
really important because traditionally, new moms are
Mhm.
so overwhelmed by just taking care of baby, they kind of
Yeah.
we forget about ourselves. And we're not
Mhm.
really encouraged to even
Yeah.
focus on ourselves. It's all about the baby, right?
Right.
And I guess, it should be about the baby. And
Mhm.
if you yourself are not 100%, that actually ends up endangering the
Yeah.
baby, right? So the
Right.
key is if it hasn't faded within 3 to 4 weeks. Like, because I still remember, I'm not certified, but
Mhm.
I was able through, like, if I look at myself through my occupational therapy lens,
Mhm.
I was not in any condition to be alone with the babies the first year, for sure, because we had hired an aide that was taking care of my in-laws' father. So
Mhm.
she was from Jamaica, and she
Right.
helped us for the first year because we had to pay her out of pocket, right?
Mhm.
And we ran out of money after the first year. And I remember meeting a new mom in the neighborhood. And then when we let the aide go, I had another mom, and I was like able to leave the house with two babies because I was like trapped in the house for like the first year. And I still
Yeah.
remember feeling so isolated and literally being unable to feel. I didn't realize at the time that that's not normal. Like, you
Yeah.
should feel something for your baby. You're breastfeeding them, you're taking care of
Mhm.
them. And I had very little feelings of attachment for my babies that first six
Yeah.
months. So that was pretty interesting. Like, I didn't even know that that's abnormal. Now I know, but not then.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is like where community comes into play. And like for people that aren't moms, like think about how you can support the moms or new moms in your life is also really important. One of the best things that two of my sister-in-laws did for me is like they each came over once a week for like 4 months after my son was born. And
Mhm.
like it wasn't necessarily like they were there to like care for the babies. I did a lot of that, but like they like did my dishes and talked to me and helped me feel like I was not alone. And even if it was just an hour, once a week, it really was meaningful to me to be able to have that support. So a lot of times we think, oh, like, well, I don't feel comfortable taking care of the baby or, that type of thing. Sometimes just going in and doing somebody's dishes or their laundry, like, can be a huge assist, send them dinner, like things like that. It's a big thing to know that people care, even in the littlest of ways.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. And so, my wonderful audience, if there is a way to contact Jennette, she is only licensed in the state of Utah, and we have audience members as far as New Zealand,
Wow, that's
Dubai,
cool.
India. We do want them still to have access to some of the free resources you offer, Jennette.
Hmm.
So, her website is in the description of this episode. However, some of you like me to spell out the website, so I'm going to tell you it's Rising, RISING dash Lotus, LOTUS, counseling, COUNSELLING.com. Okay, so she has some free resources there. And
Hmm.
there is one other thing that Jennette offers, and I want to talk about this right now, Jennette, I work in evolved neurolinguistic programming, and one of the people who I'm certified through her program, she had to do a lot of internal healing before she could address her fertility issues.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
this is one of her stories, so I'm not giving away any type
Mhm.
of private stories.
Yeah.
And she talked about how she had to do, for her, like quantum timeline healing for an
Hmm.
incident that happened in her youth. That
Hmm.
it was a traumatic trigger warning,
Hmm.
like SA type of thing, that resulted in her belief that she didn't deserve to be a mother. So she
Hmm.
could not get pregnant. And then she had internal abdominal scarring to the degree that she could never get pregnant, and she was about to have a hysterectomy.
Mm.
And then she went into timeline healing, And the day of the surgery, they found no scarring in her body. Her body
Oh, that's
completely cleared it.
awesome.
Yeah. So, in
Mhm.
your experience, how much does a person's unresolved trauma affect their fertility sometimes?
Well, I think that it depends on each individual, but for me, I think that unresolved trauma can like mess with your brain. And when you mess with your brain, you mess with your body.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And our body, as we know, keeps the score, right? To steal the classic book title, our body remembers what the brain forgets too, and so it's so interconnected. And that's why I think that, like, if we can, like, whether it's through timeline healing, yoga, like sound healing, whatever kind of calls to you, like I used yoga, sound healing, and acupuncture as part of my fertility journey. It took me 15 years to have my son through IVF, and we had like I had miscarriage before that, and then like I had three failed transfers, and he was my second transfer out of four, and he was the one that took, and so we're super excited to have him here.
Yeah.
But I partially think that what helped was like, so I did my yoga teacher certification training, and my teacher, Karina, she always tells everybody that she got me pregnant
Yes.
because because I had to stop training for a while because I was doing all the infertility stuff. And then I've restarted again after I had my son. But, being able to understand the mind-body connection and that type of thing is so essential in treating any type of mental health, particularly trauma, because like we talk about with yoga, how we store trauma in our hips, and some people it's other places in their body. It's just like, it's funny, you can be in a pose in yoga and then like move, and then all of a sudden you're super sad and you're like, I don't know where that came from. It's because you hit a trauma pocket, type of thing. You're like, oh, that was stored in that muscle. Let's shake that out, type of thing. And so really being able to understand how, like, understanding your body and where you keep stress is usually a good sign of where you might keep trauma. And also where you get injured is a good sign of where you might keep trauma. So if you have lower back pain or pelvic issues or that type of thing from other past traumas, like those type of things can impact your fertility and that type of stuff. So I think that it's important to listen to the science, listen to the doctors. But one of my favorite quotes is from Hamlet, and it's, "There's more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt up in your philosophy." And that to me is like, I think we believe in the science and we go with the science, but there's more out there than just like what science is telling us. And so for me, I think that there's a lot of things that we consider pseudoscience or woo-woo or whatever you want to call it, that in the future is going to
Yes.
be part of science. I think it's just time, and like we've got to catch up with what's actually there. And so I think that being able to understand what works for you, if it works, it works. Even if, like, even if people want to say it's just like the placebo effect, who cares? Like, if it works for you and you feel better, like I'm support that, so being able to understand your trauma through the lens of whatever modality works for you, I think is important.
That's an exceptional reminder. I really love that. Thank you, Jeanette. Even applied kinesiology, which before the medical field treated as a woo science, they've now had physical therapists proving that the muscle testing that they poo-pooed had a higher accuracy now for SI misalignment in people versus the actual physical test. So they're starting to prove all the woo science that has been around for quite a while.
Right.
And I do really love the way that you're saying everything can work together for our
Mhm.
betterment.
Yeah.
you know the subconscious, which is housed in our brain and also reflected in our body, there's ways to get answers for yourself through your body,
Hmm.
because our bodies are the only things that are with us from our lifetime. No one else is with us but our bodies, with
Hmm.
us from the before we were born to today, now where you're listening to this episode. And there is a beautiful service that Jennette offers through her website at rising-lotuscounseling.com. Now, you're also known, right, as the Therawitch.
Yep.
What is the
Mhm.
Therawitch? Because I love this. I love the fact before Jennette explains to everybody, you can get oracle cards. They were made by you, right, Jennette?
Yeah, I authored an Oracle card deck specifically for people on a fertility journey called Your Fertile Path. And that's available through Gamecrafter, or you can link to it through my website. I created that partially because of my own fertility journey. And I felt like there's so much that I could share through that medium and encourage people to tap into themselves, you know? So the Therawitch stuff, it comes from the idea that I'm a therapist and I'm a witch. You know, I consider myself like a secular kind of witch. I don't consider witchcraft a religion. For me, it's more, I believe in using intention and spell and ritual to be able to connect to myself and the universe and other people. And so being able to use that as part of therapy is important to me, to be able to say, okay, like you're grieving someone, you've been through a huge loss, like this is a huge thing. Is there a way you could ritualize the memory? Right? Is there a way that you want to connect to this person as you move forward? Not necessarily to like a ghost or a spirit or that type of thing, though some people lean that way. But even if it's just like, I want to write a letter and I want to send it down a river, or I want to burn it, you know, those type of things that connect into the elements, because we're, as human beings, we've been using and connecting to the elements and nature for thousands and thousands of years. And so much of witchcraft is just that, you know, type of thing. It's a little bit spicy psychology, as some people call it, and like doing shadow work and that type of thing. But being able to kind of create a bridge between the idea that these are ways that we connect to ourselves through therapy, through witchcraft, and through ways that we can connect to each other. And so that's kind of like how I see it and how I think about my Therawitch stuff. It's kind of where I do more sound healing, more like I do retreats and that type of thing through that. And, you know, like even some of the yoga teaching that I do goes through that, but it's also translatable. I use a lot of the things that I know in my therapy sessions with my clients too, when they're open to it, because you start where the client is and you never push anything on them. It's just working within their own their own belief system.
Right. And I have a therapist who specializes in complex PTSD.
Mhm,
And we always end up overlapping with a lot of the woo stuff because talk
mhm,
therapy is super important. You can never not do it already, folks. Like, just
mhm.
understand this.
Yeah,
It does work hand in hand with energy work and quantum timeline healing and other things like PQ, which is positive intelligence. All sorts of different modalities have a place when you're ready for it, right?
right.
Because sometimes some people who come to my coaching, they'll go through all of my modalities, and some people are happy with one energy clearing and they're great and they're good to go, right? So it
Mhm.
really, and then they come back later for other things. Yeah, so it's just been really interesting. Um, my audience members, remember starting this year in 2026, the Dance and Heal gift that I give to you has now been shifted to master classes that are subsidized by the Raw Epiphany 501c. So if you go to move to bloom.com, you'll get your free class. And Jennette, we're going to have to come back because I feel like we only touched on the very tip of the iceberg of what you actually have to offer my audience. And just so in the interim, my wonderful friends, make sure that you do go to Jennette's rising-lotuscounseling.com for her. She has some gifts like a free meditation that you can download. And is there one thing that you would want my audience members to do that will help them be more connected with themselves, Jennette?
Remember, your breath is the tool you have with you wherever you go. If nothing else, learn to take in a deep breath through your nose and heavy sigh out through your mouth. It helps regulate your nervous system. It's one little thing that you can do. And your breath, like whether you're driving in your car or you're at work, you have it with you. Unlike like, oh, certain tools or certain things that you might want to have. No, or even a weighted blanket, you know, type thing. That's usually at home. You don't keep that in your car. But well, maybe you do. I don't know. No judgment, you know, but being able to kind of like just remember to breathe. Remember that that's with you wherever you go, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and you're going to be okay.
I love that. So remember to take a breath and exhale. Sometimes some of us, me, ADH related type of person, we need to set timers. So I will set an hourly timer on my phone, just literally breathe. And that's the only thing that I set for the alarm. Until the next time, audience members, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Dance to Heal podcast with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of inspiring triumph and learn more ways that you can heal yourself. To work with me and continue your journey, visit danceandheal.com. Are you ready to move?